One more to go. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Okay, let's see. Just going to check with you. Could everybody give me a thumbs up if you could have seen the screen, you could hear me? Was that working okay? Fantastic. Let's get going. Okay, so it's all about telling you how we are teaching phonics in Shaftesbury Park School now. We've changed our scheme, so this is really an introduction to how it's slightly different. Okay, and here we go. A love of reading is the biggest indicator of future academic success. As a teacher, I know that, and in terms of looking at development and data and analysis and child development, this is also the case. You think about how many times have you already done your reading this morning? It's essential for all subject areas and to improve our life chances. And it's so important that we have a positive attitude to reading, because it helps us to choose and expand our academic and social and emotional scope, and benefits for the children are huge. And phonics is the epicenter of how we get into our reading and decoding. So we are using what we call Little Wandle Letters and Sounds Revised. And it's based on a scheme that the government brought out when we first introduced phonics as a specific way of explicitly teaching the letters and the sounds. So it closely links into what we've already been doing in Shaftesbury Park School for several years. That's been proven and successful. And we've looked into lots of different schemes, and the Department of Education told us in the summer that we need to use a very specific programme, which is validated by them. So this is the one we have chosen, and we feel that it really benefits the children, and it's going to benefit you, and there's lots of support, and it's very engaging for the children. It supports the teaching of early reading and spelling. So phonics is making connections between the sounds of our spoken words and the letters that are used to write them down. So we're going to watch a video here to demonstrate what it's all about.
In phonics lessons, your child is taught to recognise the connections between the sounds in our spoken words, phonemes, and the letters that are used to write them down, graphemes. For example, they are taught that T is written like this, I is written like this, and N is written like this. When we read, we see these letters written down, and we change them back into sounds, join them together and read tin. T, I, N, tin. Sounding out the graphemes in a word and blending them together is how your child is learning to read at school. We make sure we use pure sounds when we are sounding out and blending words. That means we don't say at the end of a letter. We say T, I, N, tin, not T, I, N, because that doesn't blend to say tin at all. You can check how to say the phonemes with pure sounds with our videos. There are 3 videos that cover all the phonemes your child will learn in reception. Thank you for listening, and thank you for helping your child to learn to read.
Okay, so here are some of the terminology that we use in school. So phoneme is the sound that it makes. The grapheme is the shape of the letter that we write down and we look at on the text. Digraph is 2 letters, 1 sound. Trigraph is 3 letters that make 1 sound. A split vowel digraph is where 2 letters and 1 sound is split by another letter. For example, bike, the I-E in bike is split by the K in the middle. Blend is where we put sounds together to read, and segment is when we break up a word to spell. We used to use the word phoning, but now we talk with the children, we say set sound, so the letter sound. Now here we have the teaching order, and all of this is going to be sent to you, and I'm also going to show you how to access the website so you can also download this for yourself if you wish. It shows you the graphing, the shape of the letter, the picture card, the stake, how to say the sound, and a rhyme that tells you how to form the letter, which are really useful. This is something that we start and show in reception and continue through all the way through in year 1. Our programme of progression is very explicit. You can see here in the autumn, we start with our phase 2, which are what we know as the letter sounds and the tricky words, which we cannot sound out because they follow alternate sounds. You can see here in autumn 2, they start to use the 2 letters, the 1 sound, the qua, ch, and again we add more tricky words. You can see here that it continues into the spring with more complex digraphs of 2 letters, 1 sound, and trigraphs, 3 letters, 1 sound, A, E, I, O, U, and we continue into longer words with 2 syllables. In year 1, where we are here, we're looking at the alternate ways to make the sound, and there are an awful lot of ways to make the simple A, E, I, O, U. I will show you that in a moment. So, how we do the learning, how we make it stick. Lots of repetition, lots of flashcards, repeating the letter shapes, the picture cards, the phrases, the formation. It's a lot of repetition, lots of chanting. My turn, your turn, the children will repeat. It's stripping it right down to ensure there's no bells and whistles. It's just about the shape of the letters, the sound of the letters, and how we blend. Modelling here, we've got a sound button for each sound, and then a longer sound button to show the digraph. And we do this little and often every single day. And it's all about making the learning automatic. At the beginning, the children need a lot of scaffolding and practice. And by the end, once it becomes automatic, they're blending in their heads. You no longer need to hear them sounding out with their voice. So here you can have a look at how many ways you might use this trigraph, the E, but it's also pronounced differently in different ways. You've got E for each, F for head, A for break. And particularly in year 1, these are the alternate ways that we pronounce this graphing of the EA. The English language is very complicated, and we have an awful lot of sounds that the children need to work through to ensure that they are able to read fluently. Now, with the whole class teaching, we teach every day, the whole class together. And then separately, we do reading, where the children will work at their own level of their phonics. Have a look at the way we can write the phoneme sh, shell, chef, special, caption, mansion, passion. And all these alternate ways of spelling we use to teach in Shaftesbury Park already with this scheme of Little Wandles, Letters and Sounds Revised. We continue every single sound. Now, I know that you all might be aware in year one we have a national stream. The way that we work with the spellings and the reading for this scheme will take us above and beyond the expected level for year one. So they'll be moving beyond. Once they've acquired all the sounds, we push them further and extend them further. If the children haven't acquired the level they need in year one, we just continue the scheme into year two until they are secure with all the knowledge that they are required to help them become fluent readers and writers. This is going to show you, explain about the difference between the tricky words that the children need to read.
Almost all words in the English language can be worked out using the alphabetic code that children learn at school. This is made up of 44 sounds and includes sounds like a, b, k, and a, e, and I, as well as sh, and air. Many of these sounds can be spelt in a few different ways, but some of the spellings are far more common than others. To get children reading quickly, we teach them the most common way each sound is spelt first. They will learn some of the more unusual ways of spelling sounds later in the Letters and Sounds programme. But there are just a few with unusual spellings that children need to read and write a lot, even in the early stages. Words like he, said, and was. We call these tricky words and teach them as we go along. When we teach tricky words, we show the children which bit of the word is the tricky part. Here's an example. Children learn the letter E makes the sound E because in most words it makes that sound. Think about the words fed, bed, read and shed. But the word we is a tricky word because the letter E is not making the sound that the children have been taught so far. E. In this word, the letter says E. So the word is we. Another tricky word is was. Both the middle and the final letters are tricky. This letter says O, and this letter says Z. So we read the word as was. We teach the most common tricky words first. These are the ones that children will often come across in their reading books. Your child will learn how to read and spell tricky words regularly in lessons, so they become familiar with them and can read and spell them confidently. If you find they are struggling to remember a certain tricky word, ask them to write on a post-it note and stick it where they will see it a lot. Keep asking them to read the word. If you need to, remind them of the tricky part. This will help them to remember it.
So looking at the spelling, what we do is we say the word cat, and then we ask them to use their segmenting fingers and make each sound on each finger. Cat, k, at. We count the words 1, 2, 3. Cat, k, at. And then we write them down. Some children will have a little grid in front of them with the letter shapes to help them if they're not sure of the formation of the letters. But we have found that we've done this sort of spelling where we segmented the sounds for many years, and the children really enjoy it to spot the sounds in the words, and they're able to work independently to do this. And we do this as a whole class and when we're doing our guided writing work as well. But often, if you want to practice at home, you can just say it out loud. Oh, what's the sound in lightning? I, lightning. You can just do oral blending and segmenting. So segmenting the spelling. So how do we teach reading in books? So we have specific times through the week, 3 times a week, where the children are taught by a trained teacher or teaching assistant, and they're taught in small groups, no more than 6 children. And the children will be matched specifically to the level of their phonics learning. We have a rigorous assessment procedure where every term the children be asked to look at these sound letters and see if they can tell us the sound that goes with it, and then they need to blend the words. And depending on how well they do and where the gaps are, will help us match specifically which book they are going to start reading in their group. This is to ensure that they're reading the book at the right level. The children need to know all the sounds and tricky words in their phonics book really well. Many of the words, they're going to be able to do silent blending in their heads. And their reading is going to be automatic. So they're going to be much more fluent. Really, it only needs to stop and sound out about 5% of the words by the time they bring the book home. But they should be able to do this on their own. Now, at the moment, we've opened up an online version of the reading to ensure that you can all have access to the reading books. And you should have all been sent the login details last week. Please speak to your child's teacher if you have any difficulty logging in. Generally, the books will come at the end of the week. There will be released one book. It's different to the previous scheme that we had where you had lots of games and lots of different books will be released. You will have one book a week, and this is the book your child has been working on through the week. They'll be decoding, looking at vocabulary, looking at fluency, improving their comprehension skills. So by the time you open up online their book, they should either be able to read it fluently by themselves or only need to blend to sound out that 5% of the words, maybe a word on each page. If they're having to sound out every word, this book is too difficult. So thinking about that, if you're looking for books for your child to read from the library or books that you have at home, if they're having to sound out every word, it's too difficult, which means they stop their fluency and it stops their comprehension, and the child can become quite frustrated. If they don't have to blend any words, the book could be too easy. So you're looking for about maybe 1 in 10 words that they can read by themselves as a general indicator. This is the most important thing you can do, reading at home with your child. So reading a book and chatting had a really positive impact a year later on in a child's ability to understand the words and the sentences, use a wide range of vocabulary, and I cannot emphasize this enough, that children who are reading every day have this wealth of vocabulary and language in their head, and they're often a year ahead of their peers in terms of reading and writing. So it's so important for them to fill their heads with wonderful vocabulary. It also helps them to develop their listening comprehension skills. And the amount of books children are exposed to by the age of 6 has a positive predictor of their reading ability even 2 years later. But I definitely, coming from my own personal experience in terms of their writing as well, the wealth of knowledge, just listening to you read to your child is huge benefits, as well as sounding out their reading their phonics books to you as well. So the books that are going home. So at present, we've got our Big Cat Collins book, which is directly linked to our Letters and Sounds, Little Wandle Letters and Sounds Revised. And this is the book that's online that you'll be sent each week. And that's the book they have been reading. This is the book your child is able to read to you. Plus, we're sending home once or twice a week library books. Now, these are books for you to share with your child or you to read to your child. Talk about what the characters are doing, guessing what might happen next, enjoying the pictures, enjoying the language. This is not a book that your child reads to you. They may pick up a book, maybe that there might be some words they can read. If your child is an able reader, it might be a book they are already able to read to you. But the onus is this book is the one that you share with your child and read to your child. And this is the book that your child reads to you. Now, these books that they're reading in class, they should be able to read to you without your help. Okay, if they can't read a word, you can read it to them. Talk about the book and celebrate their success. It really should be about learning to read in school and celebrating reading at home. So we want your children to come home, have a look at their reading book from school and show off and say, look what I can do. And it's a great indicator to show you where their phonics level is in terms of decoding by themselves. We are aiming to try and purchase some hard copies for those children who cannot access online. But as you know, with the last couple of years, the budgets are really precarious at the moment. So we're aiming to get a few copies, but we're encouraging you to try and access online because you'll have a bigger range of books available to you. It also ensures that you have access to the books immediately. Now, here we have on the website, the children demonstrate how to do the sounds correctly. And I know that some of you often ask me that. And I'm going to show you later where you can access this because our, so I'm just checking if there's any messages. I'm going to show you later where you can access these videos, as the technology in our school doesn't allow us to play these videos for some reason. So I will show you that in a moment. Oh. So when you read to your child, the book shared is for you to read. So this is your library book. Make the story sound as exciting as you can by changing your voice. And this is something that we do with the children at school. We call Prodicey, expression in your voice. Talk with your child as much as you can. Talk about new and exciting language. Once you've introduced some of the language, encourage your children to use the new vocabulary that they've come across. Make up sentences together to practice using the new vocabulary. Or maybe find alternative words that you could use instead and describe things that you can see. One of the greatest gifts adults can give is to read to children. So I'm just going to show you where you can access the website, because there's a section for parents. I'm just going to try and bring it up for you. Bear with me. Okay, so here we have Little Wandle's Letters and Sound. If you just write that in, and you will come to this page here. And here you've got for parents. You don't need a login for that. You should be able to get straight in for the parents section here. And then you've got the videos that you can watch. You've got the sounds that you can download. How to write capital letters as well. And other resources. But we will be sending some resources in for you as well. Okay, well, that concludes our presentation. I hope you found it useful. Please email me or speak to your class teacher. We have made a recording of this, so I hope that we are able to share this with anybody that wasn't able to join us today. And if you spread the word, that'd be fantastic. I will find a way with my technology and advice to do that for you. But I hope it gives you a good grounding as to how we're teaching phonics in school and our reading and our spelling. I feel really excited about this scheme. There's lots here that's supportive. The training is absolutely amazing. There's the great videos that are there for you as well. I envisage that this year, taking in light what's happened in the last 2 years, we're going to accelerate and get sort of children where they need to be, at the level they need to be. Even more excited for next year, where we're going to go the full year, and the children are going to work through the scheme. If they don't get to the level they need to by the end of year 1 in reception, we carry on and accelerate and work really hard with the children to help them achieve. So thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.